If you're an avid movement lover or recovering from pain or illness, then today's show is for you. We are traveling across continents to the United Kingdom to discuss body movement and pain management with Amy Slevin, knee pain survivor, now movement and mindset coach. I am so excited for today's show. Are you ready for another chronic pain conversations? Let's go. Hello and welcome to Chronic Pain Conversations. My name is Kalila Bruswell, and this is my lovely co-host, Sharifa McLaren Thomas. This is a show where we have open and honest dialogue about chronic pain. We share on our experiences, acknowledge the wide variety of chronic pain diagnosis, and look at ways to manage our chronic pain. So, as usual, we're going to get our day started and we're going to have a conversation about pain and pleasure. Miss Sharifa, talk to us today. How are you doing?
I am doing as well as I can do.
Yeah.
I'm in a bit of pain. I'm actually have some pillows behind me. But it's just been a stressful past week and weekend. So I think that's why the pain's kind of acting up. Mm-hmm. And then the weather here in Toronto, Kalila, of course, is getting colder and colder. Not too cold, but you got to put on a sweater during the day now. It's that kind of weather. So change of weather, a little bit of stress, got the body feeling a little off.
Oh,
but other than that, I'm like you. I'm excited for today's show.
Oh my gosh. Just in case you guys didn't know, we are only 9 days away from fall. I heard it on the news today. So that might be the official reason. It is 9 days.
I think they're lying. I think we're already in
fall. I'm not lying. In 9 days.
We're already in fall, I think, okay?
We're about to hit the 12 hours of sun and the 12 hours of night. So I get it, though. I get it. Even in California, I'm like, windows are closed now. Like you can tell when it's getting dark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How about you, Kula? How are you feeling today?
I'm pleasure today. Mm-hmm. I had an amazing weekend. I helped someone celebrate their 45th year, their birthday.
I saw the pictures and I was like, okay, Kula.
You haven't seen anything yet. I still got to post a few.
Oh my goodness, great.
I had to strategically plan. So I did things like, I would wake up and I'd be like in a bit of pain. So I'd go to the gym and do a lot of stretching or like walking out. And then I'd rest and then I'd go to the event. So there were even times I had to like break in the middle of us all gathering to be like, let me go lie down for an hour. Right. So I enjoyed it. I paced myself through it and I'm still smiling. So
that's what you got to do. That's the whole thing, pacing yourself.
Pacing yourself. You 100%. Gotta completely love it. So let's get into our guest because I don't want to hold up any time right now.
Definitely not. Today's guest is Amy Slevin, founder, director, and CEO at Flow Motion. She helps movement lovers recover from injury and illness so they can get back to doing what they love.
So let's have her on.
Let's bring her in. Look at her. She's ready to go.
I love it. I love
that energy. Kalila almost lets us look a little bit bad, man. She came in with full-fledged.
Welcome, Amy. How are you doing today?
I'm cool. I'm like excited to be here and to like have this chat with you guys.
I love that.
Okay, so first off, what time is it by you? Because it's 12 noon here in Toronto and 9 in California.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's like a very civilized 5 p.m.
Oh, I love the way you say it's civilized 5. We're not
5 p.m.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it. So, Amy, please, can you share your personal chronic pain journey with us? How did your chronic pain develop? What was diagnosis? What happened? What's going on?
Okay, so it started about 6 years ago, maybe 7. My memory for chronological things is not the best. And it started with my left knee. And it was not really like that much of an issue for a long time. It was just like a little pinch on the inside of my knee. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. The inside of my knee. And it would only really hurt in like one position, which was in what we call yoga, a child's pose, where you're kind of like kneeling and your bum is on your heels and your arms and your chest are kind of stretched forward. And so you're in a full flexion position of your knee. And it would only pinch in that position for a long time. And then gradually over like, I don't know, a year or so, it kind of gradually got a little bit worse. And then I thought, you know what, maybe there's a weird thing that I did, very weird. But like I kind of was looking at my own biomechanics of my hips and my legs and my pelvis, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, hang on a minute, I'm not getting very much extension from my left hip. So let me try and correct that. And so I started deliberately changing how I was walking in an effort to change, like to get more movement from my left hip joint. But actually what happened was I ended up irritating my knee. And so then my knee, which was already a little bit like, started to get really pissed off. And then like, bam, one day it was like swollen. I couldn't move it very well. It was really painful. And I was like, uh-oh, I've done something. Anyway, I went to see an osteopath. So I trained as an osteopath. And so I went to see one of my tutors, someone who taught me osteopathy. And I was like, dude, like, I don't know what happened, but I've pissed it off somehow. And at the time, like, we didn't really know what was going on, but it like calmed down a bit. The swelling went down, but the pain kind of like didn't really go away properly. And then I was doing a lot of sport called parkour, where you're jumping a lot and you're kind of like leaping over walls and railings, and it's like mega fun. I absolutely love it because like you feel so strong and powerful and free. And I could do the parkour, but then like the next day or a few days after parkour, then my knee would start complaining and be like sore. And I was like, and I kind of didn't really link the two. I thought it can't be the parkour because otherwise it would be sore while I was doing the parkour. And it was all really confusing for a long time and I didn't know what was going on. And I saw a sports therapist who was really helpful. And I had some pain reduction from that, but then still it kind of like lingered, and then it kind of got better and worse and better and worse in the way that a lot of chronic pain does. Like, I'm sure you know you have good days and bad days. So I was having good days and bad days, and I was like, it's still not getting better. And
was there an actual diagnosis, Amy, that the doctors gave you? Yeah.
Eventually. So it did take about 4 years before I decided to think, actually, maybe I should go and have this investigated. Because I was just like, it'll get better. And then it just never did. And then I was like, I was one day doing parkour with my boyfriend, and I felt something weird happening in my knee, and I was like, I think. And I was just like, I think I might need surgery. And so I booked an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon. I went to have my MRI scan, and I had a meniscus tear. So if you know about the knee, there's like in the knee, there's like a little kind of cartilaginous, like fibrous disc almost between your thigh bone and your leg bone, your leg being this bit, and your shin bone. And it's there just to kind of cushion things and to make things move, slide easily over each other. And it's like a shock absorber. And I had a little tear on the inside edge of that, and the orthopedic surgeon said no parkour for 3 months. And I was like, oh shit, really? I don't want to not do parkour for that long. But fine, okay, I'll play your game. So he said it's not bad enough to have surgery. Go away, rest it, be kind to yourself, and come back and see me in 3 months' time. So I did that. The pain kind of got a little bit better, but not really. And so I went back and saw him, and he said, like, there's no point in doing surgery because it's just not bad enough. And a lot of the time, in fact, this is a real thing that I think a lot of people don't know, is that for meniscus tears and a lot of kind of knee stuff, surgery doesn't have that great of an outcome. It can have like a short-lived benefit for, say, for example, like a professional athlete. They can have like a short-term outcome, but they need that, right? Like a professional athlete needs that because they have a short window in which they can do their sport. But then after that, it doesn't have really great results. And so he basically was just like, kind of just see what happens. And sorry, I can't help you.
I have a question for you. I had another question for you, but I'm going to ask you this one because Sharifa and I have both had the conversation in terms of, chronic pain. We've had a show on knee pain, so we've been trying to educate our audience, but we've also had a conversation about something else. And my question is why did you wait 4 years knowing that you had the pain? Like, we
That
don't,
right there.
we don't,
That
can
it
somebody
trumps
please
everything
educate
that
us?
we say. We always say never wait. And here we go. Amy waited 4 whole years.
4 years.
I thought when she said 4, I was waiting for months. She said 4 years. So please, Amy, enlighten us. Why did you do that?
Yes,
it's very simple. For a long time, the pain was just never that bad. It was I could function quite reasonably well. I was able to do enough of the stuff that I wanted to do, and it just wasn't bothersome enough to make me want to seek proper different help. I say proper help, different help. So I could live with it, basically.
So I'm going to ask you this because we found a couple of different things. So even though there's that mindset of it's not hurting a lot, it's still hurting. And it's still hurting consistently and all the time. Yeah. So talk to us about how you ended up going, it wasn't painful enough to get to that position. Can you?
Yeah. I think it is reasonably, I don't know, in my head, it's kind of reasonably simple, but also I think there's a thing of like, okay, so it wasn't like consistent pain. It was like kind of sort of coming and going up and going down. And so a lot of the time pain is about the meaning that we give it, right? And so the meaning that I gave the pain wasn't significant enough. It was like, the meaning was like, this is just a bit annoying. But then over time, it got worse and worse and worse. And over time, I was like, okay, like I then had to stop doing the parkour. And that's what bugged me, right? So it was the meaning changed from whatever, it'll get better, I'm okay with this, I can do just about enough of the stuff that I need to do, to then like, I can't do the stuff that I need to do. Okay, actually now I can't even walk on it properly without having pain. I can't teach my yoga classes, my kind of flow motion movement classes that I love to do because I'm in so much pain. So then the meaning that I was then adding onto it, which is what I think a lot of people do, started compounding. And that's when I was like, okay, enough is enough.
Wow. I mean, like, I'm glad that you advocate about that, because we talk about that in the community in terms of, waiting and why people wait and how it affects it. So thanks for opening up.
Mm-hmm. Amy, do you mind taking us through some treatment plans, like what your physician prescribed? Was there any medication or therapy recommended?
Yeah, so I never took any pharmaceuticals. I'm not like I don't like to take pharmaceuticals for my own stuff. I never have been a particular fan of them. So, and like, for example, like if I have a headache, I'd rather have a glass of water than
Advil.
What do you call it? Advil. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I kind of, and I think it's a real thing. We'll talk about it a bit later, probably, hopefully. There's a real difference, I think, in how people respond to pain in America versus how they do in other parts of the world. And I think that's really interesting. So
explain that a little further. We've had this conversation in terms of culture. So tell me your mindset around that.
Okay. So I'm no expert on this, but this is just the stuff that I've observed. I think in America, pain and any form of discomfort is seen as like really bad, like a thing to be avoided as soon as it starts. Whereas in England, generally, like if you go to a doctor with some sort of pain or discomfort of some kind, they might say, here, have some medication, and then go away and see what happens. Maybe they do that in America as well, but they'll take a very kind of conservative approach, and they'll be like, let's just wait and see. That's kind of the approach in the UK. Whereas I think in America, I don't understand exactly why per se, but like there's a real thing of like, okay, so we have this sort of smallish problem. We must kill it immediately. And I think because of that, in a way, this might sound a bit weird, but like, I kind of think maybe people in America aren't helping themselves in quite the right way.
Their pain tolerance is lower.
Say that again.
Pain tolerance is lower.
Yeah. And the meaning that we give pain is like ultimately straight away it's really bad. Whereas go on.
So in terms of like treatment, so not even just medication, because one of the things that we're very big on is alternative medicine. So was there massage? Was there physiotherapy? Was there a chiropractor? Were there any of those types of treatments that were recommended or that you did with your health?
So luckily, as an osteopath myself, kind of, I was like, it's not that lucky actually, because I was like, yeah, I've got this. I can treat myself, which clearly did not work that well. If it did, I wouldn't have been in pain for 4 years. Anyway, so my bias and my preference is to kind of go down that route. So I tried acupuncture, osteopathy, physiotherapy, not physiotherapy, but I have a sports therapist. A really good friend of mine is a sports therapist. So I went to see him. So he gave me some really cool exercises, and I did have pain reduction from the exercises.
That's good. So take us along the journey in terms of our audience doesn't know, but you were talking about yoga, but you also have this company. You've all of a sudden went from being the osteopath, and now you're like, well, you're CEO and director of Flow Motion. So tell us how that came about, and if your chronic pain had anything to do with it. Tell us about the journey for that.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that fed into it, right? So first of all, it's like I was doing yoga, I was teaching yoga, and I kind of liked the yoga, but I never really felt like I belonged in yoga land, that's what I'm going to call it. Like, I always felt a little bit different, and I was like, yeah, I like the movement of yoga, but there's also like, I do parkour as well, I do flying trapeze, and I do all this other weird and wonderful kind of movement stuff, which has really cool stuff to offer people. And I don't want to limit what I'm teaching and what I'm offering to other people to just yoga, because there's all this other amazing stuff. Oh, the dance, massive for me. All these other amazing things to share with people. So I was like, okay, so Flow Motion was like my way of like bringing all of those things together into one place. So that was kind of how it started a little bit. Then just going back a few steps chronologically. So previously, I had wanted to do parkour as a career. And as in like performing parkour and doing kind of commercial work with parkour. But the truth was, or that's what I thought that I wanted to do. But the truth was I didn't really. And there were certain moves in parkour. By the way, I was 35, I think, at that point. So I was like, for a parkour athlete to be performing, that's pretty old. So, and it's a lot of like heavy stuff to be doing with your body while you're, not that it's terrible, but like it's just like, a lot of impact on the body. So I was too afraid to do certain movements in parkour, and certain movements that I would need to do in order to be good enough to be performing in parkour. And so basically my knee, I kind of realized through a lot of introspection and the whole process that I took myself through with the help of other people, one other person specifically, I realized, okay, so my knee pain in a way was like my fear of doing certain things in parkour, trying to keep me safe. And so the knee pain was like the lesser of the pains of, first of all, feeling like I wasn't good enough to do parkour professionally. So it was like a diversion away from the truth of physically I don't have the ability to actually compete with the other girls who are amazing at parkour. And instead, let's just have this nice little convenient injury, which means that you can't push yourself that far, you can't push yourself so hard, and you're going to keep you safe so you don't have to do those scary moves that you just don't really want to do. And so because of that, I was like, okay, let's just do parkour as a hobby, fine. and let's focus more on delivering movement classes and kind of mindset work to other people. So that's...
So before we move forward, I keep hearing this word and I'm trying to, is it parkour? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Spell it for us and explain to us what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So parkour, Parkour.
Okay. Explain to us what that is now.
Right. So it is a sport where you are doing a lot of jumping. There's walls. You're kind of generally outdoors, except in America we have amazing facilities indoors of like seriously cool places. But generally it's like outdoors where there are walls and railings, and you'll kind of jump over stuff. You'll run up walls, catch the top of the wall, climb over, and it's kind of like using the city kind of like an obstacle course, sort of.
I understand what she's talking about. We're going back to the video of Kingsman, and when he's climbing over everything and he's jumping over everything. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You did that?
Yeah, I still do.
That is like a lot on your knees now that I understand that. Oh my gosh.
Yes, but no. But the irony was I had the worst knee pain when I was doing less parkour.
Wow. Okay. You had less knee. Okay. You had...
more knee pain.
More knee pain, but you were doing less activity. Now you're doing more activity and you're doing less pain. So is it because of the movement? Is it because of the elasticity? Talk to me what that is concerning.
It was all up here. Not all. A lot of it was up there. So yeah, basically I had at the time, and this is some of the stuff is like weird for me to say out loud.
Yeah.
But another one of the things that was happening at the time was I had a dog, which might sound a bit crazy. And I had a dog. He was a big, beautiful Rhodesian Ridgeback Labrador cross. His name was Jackson. So he's like a big dog. And he was so gorgeous and I loved him. But he would pull on the lead so much. And I found just generally being like a single dog mum really quite stressful. Like I felt like before I got him, I thought, I can handle this. I might, I've got enough time in my day to have a dog and it's going to be awesome.
A dog is like a child.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit with regards to, you come in, you have these clients that are coming in and they're doing flow motion with you. So what are some of your missions? What are some of the things that you're teaching people? Talk to us.
Okay, so with flow motion, there are kind of two very separate things. So there's the movement side, which is the flow motion side, which is like there were 3 different types of classes. There's one which is like dynamic. It's kind of like big, kind of bold kind of movements, fun. There's like really cool music playing, and we use the music to help with the movement. Got all my words mixed up there. And it's fun, and we're there, and we're having a giggle, and I might make some terrible jokes. But it's about being kind of lighthearted and just like enjoying movement for the sake of movement. Then there's a kind of like a slightly slower one, which is called slow motion, where it's a bit more gentle, but you're still moving. And it's kind of a bit more stretchy. So that one I think is really cool for like if you're tired, but you still want to do something that feels good for your body. So you're sort of working, but not really. Like you're not really going to get sweaty, but you're going to kind of leave the class feeling usually kind of like energized rather than like. So there's that, and then there's a third one, which is the one is in yoga studios they call it yin. I call it restorative flow, because we're still. It's in a very weird way. It's kind of like just like rolling around on the floor and stretching. There's like really kind of mellow music, and we're just like melting and flowing, and like it's stretchy but like lazy and heavy, and we're very low to the ground, and it's very much like I give guidelines rather than really firm instructions, and people can do whatever they feel their body wants to do. So they can do a lot, they can make it big if they want to, or they can just be like, if they prefer.
I love that.
Well, yeah. Amy, do you mind showing us like 3 exercises? Like if I'm sitting here and not having a good day,
I'm gonna stand.
Stuff. Is there something that I can do in my seat at the office?
Yeah, I'm gonna stand for this. I want to see this.
Okay. So, yeah, I would generally say for back pain, you kind of want to move quite a lot, and I would say try not to stay in your chair for too long. So, she's standing. Awesome. Let me just lower my screen so you can see more of me. Oh, there's a cat. Hello. One of my simple kind of easy things I love to recommend is just to kind of stand and move your hips from side to side. I mean, it's easy, straightforward. It's not particularly taxing on the body. It's not going to do any harm. And then you can also make some circles, smallish circles to begin with. And then if it feels okay, you can make them bigger.
Now, how does Sharifa do this while she is sitting on a chair with pillows behind her? What do you do for the one that I'm in pleasure today? She's in pain. What did she do?
I would say if you can, try and stand up. And I know that might seem like the most unpleasant, uncomfortable, counterintuitive thing, but sometimes, like when you are in pain, the best thing to do is to get up and move. And even though it feels like this the wrong thing to do, you might be surprised that your brain, basically what you're doing, the more you kind of like shy away from movement when you're in pain, you're reinforcing to your body that moving is bad. And so I'm just going to lift that up a bit higher. So we can all do this, kind of reach your arms up and have a bit of a stretch, and then kind of move your upper body from side to side. So, and that's a real thing that happens, like pain, fear, and pain. There's a kind of thing, and then circle your arms back. You can try this. You can do it seated as well.
Seated.
Yeah, you can do it standing or seated, or you can do it on your hands and knees, like with hands on the floor. Just kind of rounding your spine, and then extending rather. So you go flexion, extension, flexion, and extension.
This is kind of like the cat-cow that you would do in yoga, but you're doing it while you're sitting down.
Exactly. And then you can do what I call, there's like happy cat, angry cat, and there's disco cat.
Happy cat, angry cat, disco cat. Get your disco cat on, Sharifa. Sharifa will like disco cat. she might do this.
Yeah. Exactly.
We don't mind disco cat at all.
Fair enough. And you do the movement quite in a small way to begin with. It depends on how much pain you're in. So it can be like a minuscule little, like, I'm going to stand up for this. If you can see this, like a minuscule kind of
hip, pelvic.
Yeah. Or it can be your upper back, but like teeny tiny. And then if it feels okay, which it will, usually it starts to ease up a little bit, then you can make the movement slightly bigger and slightly bigger. But I generally say even when you are in pain and you're having a flare up, like try to move a little bit. And I've had that myself. Like I've had episodes of like mega crazy back pain. And I'm like, why is my back so sore from nowhere? And I don't have like a chronic back pain issue, but I have had unbelievable back pain to the point where I can't breathe properly. Like I can't lie down because it hurts. I can't sit because it hurts. I can't stand up because it hurts. Like I can't do anything because everything hurts. But like in those moments, we kind of think, okay, the best thing for me to do is just do nothing. But often that's the worst thing to do. So you really just, if you can, just try tiny movements, really gentle, breathe smoothly, deeply as you're moving. And when you're doing that, you're sending a positive message to your body, to your brain, that moving is safe, that moving is okay. And when you do that, then you bring down the threat level of the pain. Because obviously, like pain actually is not necessarily that it means damage. We know that, right? Pain is more of a threat response than an actual damage response.
Right. That is true.
Hey?
That is true.
Right. And so it's like more like if you think of like a smoke alarm and in your house, and it's there to protect the house. And like, but like you start making a steak or something, or you burn the toast, and then the smoke alarm goes off, and it's like beep 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 beep, but there's no fire. It's just the smoke from the toast. And that's kind of a little bit what happens in pain. Like your brain is like on high alert for certain things, and certain like usually harmless stimuli can trigger the alarm to go off. So even though the house is not on fire, the alarm goes off in order to save the house, in order to keep you safe, in order to protect you. And so a lot of what we do and the work that I do is about retraining the brain not to need to kick off that response, to kind of bring down the threat response and have more tolerance for more tolerance for certain things that have previously been perceived as potentially harmful. And moving is a great way of doing that.
That's a good way to look at it. Amy,
yeah,
you quote, "The pain helped me turn my life around, get closer to my boyfriend, identify my mission, and take control of my life and make my own decisions." What were you going through? Briefly tell us, were you going through something that you had that aha moment that you were able to, come up with this quote?
Yeah, very much so. So this kind of goes back to the dog. So I had the dog, he was pulling a lot on my lead. I wasn't coping well as a dog parent. And at the same time, I also had my dad who was putting a lot of pressure on me to go take my career in a particular direction that I didn't really feel was right for me. And I was also, this is going to sound bonkers, but like I was also seeing this kind of therapist who I was just like, I knew that it was helping me, but I was just a bit like, can't I just like live my life a little bit, please? And so, anyway, and so the therapist shot himself in the foot one day because he said to me, I was like mega pissed off about my knee that day. And he was like, what are the benefits to you of the frustration that you're now feeling? And I was like, oh, well, funny you ask that, because and I was like, I've kind of had enough of all this. Like, I've had enough of my dad pushing me in a particular direction that I don't want to go down. I've had enough of the dog, and I've had enough of you. So it's everyone. And
I just feel like the men were pissing her off. She was like,
love it.
Don't talk to me.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So then in that moment, I was like, I texted my dad and I was like, I'm done with the therapist and I'm done listening to you. And I decided to rehome the dog. And it was a very, very, very difficult decision to rehome the dog because I was like listening to all these voices in my, like in social media and my friends being like, you can't rehome the dog. That's so cruel. The dog and I were miserable together. And you know, he is a beautiful dog and he now lives somewhere wonderful with other dogs and with people who are around who can care for him as much as he needs and hang out with him. You know, everyone's happier, right? And then weirdly, how about this? Like 2 weeks after that, the knee pain went away.
Oh, wow.
I have no comment.
Yeah, all. I mean, we're not going to expand on that.
We're gonna leave that one completely alone. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up, Amy. We want to say thank you so much being here with us and talking with us. And we want to give you a quick opportunity to just tell our audience, you know, how they can follow you, where they can find you, and a quick something about flow, motion. And we just want to say thank you. Your personality is just wonderful. I love the upbeat.
I love that.
Anything to say to this, Amy?
Thank you. Well, okay, so my website is amyslevin.com. That's amyslevin.com. And there's all the information about my classes there. There are even classes that you can do online, recorded classes that you can do online. And there's all the information about the services that I offer. So I do kind of like relationship kind of therapy. I help people deal with the difficult relationships that they're going through, as well as their it's like physical and emotional pain. So if people are feeling like stuck in their life, if they don't know what they're doing, if they kind of feel like there's something else that they want to be doing, I kind of help them to tease that out of themselves and help people turn their pain into an opportunity. Because I've been through that. I know the process. It's not an easy process, but it's a really amazing process. And I love taking people through that. So I do that. Like I have like a 4 to 6 week pain and illness course where I help people change how they perceive their situation, how they perceive their pain, and then they come out. So they basically kind of go in like feeling frustrated, pissed off, despondent, thinking like, God, I'm never going to get better, to kind of thinking, okay, well, either, okay, if I'm not going to get better, then I can change how I feel about it. And they change how they feel about it. And they're like, okay, so I've got this thing, doesn't actually bother me anymore. And I can see that it has a purpose in my life. It's actually my friend. Like, your body is your friend. And all of the symptoms that we have are kind of like your body's way of trying to communicate with you. Not all the time, but like sometimes. And it's your body's way of like trying to get you on track to what is most important and meaningful for you, and to be authentic to your true self. And I definitely had that from my own knee problem. And so I'm forever grateful to my lovely little knee.
We are thankful, because for those of you that don't know, Amy has literally been standing. So when you see her foot come up like this, that's how flexible she is. Right? So we just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us our time. If you guys aren't following her, please do. As you can see, she's not just a chronic pain survivor, but she's out there building our community. So we want to hear from other people that are doing the same. Again, Amy, thank you so much for blessing us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate having the opportunity to share some of this stuff with you. Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. Okay, so let's wrap up our show now. Sharifa, what are your thoughts about today and Miss Amy and everything that she's doing?
I want to see her again. Her energy is amazing. One thing I did take away from it is, in spite of the pain that I might even be feeling at this moment, just keep on moving.
Yeah.
How hard it is just to keep on moving. But I'm very grateful she came, and she gave us a real side of chronic pain. In the sense of, Khalila, like we said, we always tell people not to wait. And Amy waited 4 years, but let's keep it real. A lot of us do say it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better until push comes to shove, and we're like, all right, we about to die, so let's go see a doctor. So I like the fact that she did keep it real. She did keep it real, but I will agree with what we always say. Even if it's just a little bit, still go get a check. You just never know.
I'm just thankful that she reminded us that, it is in our head. Like, let's not play. The pain always comes from the head. It comes from our mind, our perception of it. But we're talking about pain tolerance, and we're talking about even when your body can't move. And she was a place where her knee was like swollen, couldn't move. She's still trying to walk the dog. She's still trying to take everybody's advice. And then there was that place where she just said, I'm going to be my voice. And that was the most powerful thing for me, because we always talk about, owning your voice, owning how this is your life and how you want to go through your pain management. And she made some choices that, even letting go of the dog, she turned around and some of that pain went away, because I talk to you guys about it all the time. Even when I'm walking, I hyperextend when I walk. So I get it. So I was really blessed by that. So take us into our keep it moving moment, Miss Sharifa, as we do this.
Okay, so keep it moving moment today. My strength did not come from lifting weights. My strength came from lifting myself when I was knocked down. Again, my strength did not come from lifting weights. My strength came from lifting myself when I was knocked down. And that is from Bob Moore. I love that.
I absolutely love that. I think that's so in line with today's conversation. What do you think?
I think it is. I look back at even the past week that I've been having, and I needed this. I definitely needed this. A little boost.
Okay. Well, then, this is our show, you guys. My name is Khalila Bruswell. I'm the Overcomer.
And I'm Sharifa McLaren Thomas from YouTube's A Thomas Life. We will be back next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to share the chronic pain journey of Isla Hickson, a chronic pain conqueror whose story is very intriguing. Isla had a stroke at birth, has a hip bursa, lives with a limp, migraines, and deals with ankle problems. But guess what, guys? This is all in addition to her diagnosis of hydrocephalus.
I'm so excited to have her now that we have her coming back. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Chronic Pain Conversations. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube at CP Conversations. We invite you to be our guest. If you are a chronic pain sufferer who's turned conqueror, who's ready to share your story to the chronic pain community, we are also inviting businesses and services such as clinicians and physicians and chronic pain advocates and networkers, chronic pain associations and support groups that help support and or cater to our chronic pain community to be our guests and to promote your business. So you can visit our link on any of our social media bios, and you can fill out either the promote your business or be our guest. But that's it, guys. Have a blessed day. And remember, Chronic Pain Conversations is the show that enlightens and advocates about chronic pain. You guys have a blessed week. We will see you this time next week. Take care.